You're listening to The Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Fantasy Jocks. Looking to upgrade your league trophy? Check out fantasyjocks.com for championship belts, rings, trophies, and more.
Sports Fix listeners, don't wait all day or all week to get in on the fun. The party doesn't stop when we go off the air all week long. The Sports Fix social media sites are your one-stop shop for all things Cleveland sports. Jump over to Facebook.com/TheSportsFix, Facebook.com/TheSportsFix, and become a fan today because we love fans and they create some of the best sports talk in town, Daddy. You'll enjoy talking to your fellow Cleveland sports fans on the Sports Fix fan page. And if Twitter's your thing, well, you know how we do it. Tweet with us at TheSportsFixCLE. It's that simple.
Twitter.com/TheSportsFixCLE, baby.
Chat live with the crew during all your favorite Cleveland sports events, tickets and contests and trivia and so much more. Get with us today, The Sports Fix on social media, Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Tweet with us at TheSportsFixCLE. Join The Sports Fix on Facebook and Twitter today.
I'm Tyler Zeller, and you're listening to The Sports Fix.
Live in Ohio, it's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
Welcome in, everybody. We are live, locked and loaded, and on the air. Another edition of the Sports Fix across the Sports Fix Radio Network with you guys here. Welcome in each and every one of you. A Tuesday edition, jam-packed, as we like to say around here, of the Sports Fix. I am your host extraordinaire, I hope. The Big Daddy on the microphone, J-Rock, Jerry Myers, with you guys here for the duration as we've got, as I said, loaded slate on Tuesday coming your way as we look ahead. We've got a lot to talk about. Last night, I'll talk about that in a minute. How about that Colt McCoy? I learned two things last night. Still love me some Colt McCoy, and no means no. I don't know how many of you guys stayed on to the game, and I rarely watch Monday Night Football, by the way. Boy, John Gruden is just the worst announcer, and some of you wanted him as our coach. I'll tell you what, that guy, he's a maroon. I'm sorry, but anyways, I'll talk about that in a minute because he was terrible last night. But if you caught the end of the game, right after it went off the air, or not off the air, excuse me, when the game actually ended, ESPN talked to Colt McCoy on the sidelines. It was hilarious because it was one of those live TV moments, and nobody realized, I don't think, that this moment was being captured on camera. But Colt McCoy talks to the ESPN camera for a minute. And, I mean, this is directly coming off the field. Hadn't even gone to the locker room yet. And there's the guy. He's there. He's a little short with the trench coat on. He's bald guy. He's standing there next to Colt McCoy, and as soon as they wrap up the interview, the NFL Network slides right in. The camera, like literally one crew slides out, the other one slides in. The guy sidles right up next to Colt McCoy, gets ready to ask him a question. Meanwhile, this PR guy is going, no more. We got to go. And then he turns and sees that the NFL Network guy is getting ready to start talking, and he just blows his top on the guy. No means no. What don't you understand about the word no? And he grabs Colt McCoy like a child and drags him away and leaves the NFL Network guy standing there. And it was like 15, 20 seconds, but it was priceless. You wouldn't have caught it if you flipped off. I was half paying attention. I hadn't gotten to the remote control yet, and there it goes. It was very funny. So no means no. Funny that I learned that from an NFL game, but too soon for that. But anyways, let's talk about all of that here. We're going to talk some Monday Night Football. Jeff Gorman from Indians101.com. He's going to be in the house just about 10 minutes from now. World Series, Game 6, maybe Game 7. This is it. The last 2 days of the baseball season at most, no matter what. We've got one or two of them left, and 48 hours from now at most, baseball will be over for this season. Jeff Gorman and I are going to talk about the World Series, preview the games coming up. Yesterday, Dan Wismar said, hey, do you think we'll see Madison Bumgarner today? Stories out. Absolutely. If they need me, I'll be there. Like I said, I've seen a lot lesser starting pitchers find a way to get in if needed to for that final game. You could bet I'm finding a way to get him in that game if I need to as well. But we're going to talk about all of that with Jeff Gorman from Indians101.com. Dr. Football, Bill Checkis in the house as always here on Tuesday. We'll talk some more about the Browns and the Raiders and Tampa Bay coming up. We'll talk about the mess and the dysfunction that is the Jets. See, this is what happens when the quarterback situation goes crazy and there's no stewardship with the coaching and the general manager and everybody's out for themselves and people are about to get fired. I don't know if Geno Smith was going to be any good or not. Some people had high hopes for him. I was intrigued, but I wasn't all into that. But anyways, he had no hope at all where he went. As you can see here, it's the place where quarterbacks, like Cleveland, place where quarterbacks go to die. And Geno Smith now, you can see he's a shell of himself. Whatever he was, he's a shell of it. And now he's benched again. Michael Vick's the guy. And Idzik's out there saying it's my fault. And Rex Ryan saying I'm just focused on the next game. There's no way. I don't think he makes it through the season. Anyways, we'll talk about all of that. Big offensive week here. Stuff going on with Marshawn Lynch. Dr. Football's in the house. Doug Plagans, TV and radio announcer for the Lake Erie Monsters. Doug will be in the house today. We'll talk about the weekend that was, a little bit of everything this past weekend for the Lake Erie Monsters. They saw wins, losses, and shootouts all in the same 3-day spread. Then they come back. And I'll talk to you guys in a minute. I want to talk to Doug about the super duper mega jumbo Supertron thing going up there, man. He's probably seen it already. Whew, I've seen the pictures, man. We'll talk about that. Well, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But anyways, Doug Plagans, he's in the house. Texas two-step coming up this weekend for the Monsters. All of that, your takes, and so much more. So let's do it. Welcome in. As we said, maybe it's your first time, to the Sports Fix here across the Sports Fix Radio Network. J-Rock with you, leading the ship, coordinating and conducting the madness here across the Sports Fix Radio Network. Maybe that means you're listening live on TuneIn and TuneIn's radio app worldwide. Perhaps you're enjoying the show on Spreaker and Mixler and their respective digital and mobile applications. Maybe you're listening straight off the home base, our mothership, thesportsfix.net. Don't forget to bookmark that page. It's got everything you need from us right there. And, of course, shout out to the thousands of you listening all day long, 24/7, in various time zones on places like iHeartRadio, Digital Delay Places, the world's largest internet radio provider, I might add, on TuneIn, on Stitcher Radio, on CarPlay, on SoundCloud, all of the different places, iTunes, wherever you subscribe, listen to the show. Thank you guys so much for being with us here again. Man, coming down the home stretch of the month of October here, you guys. Halloween, end of the week. It'd be some... It's going to be wow, and here we go, downhill from there. But thank you guys again for being with us each and every day. Phone lines. I've got a few minutes. I'll open them up if anybody wants to get in, but we're going to go quickly here through the first segment. We'll get to Jeff Gorman. 216-539-7535. Be a part of the show. 216-539-7535. Hit us up after the show, or excuse me, throughout the show. I see comments coming in the chat room there. Threw me off my deal there. Hit us up 24/7 right now, real time. Facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at the Sports Fix CLE. Email us thesportsfix@AOL.com. Stay in touch with us 24/7. Again, Facebook.com/thesportsfix, or just search for the Sports Fix. Find us, like us, 21,000 plus social media followers. Become one. Twitter, tweet with us at the Sports Fix CLE. Email us thesportsfix@AOL.com. And as I was saying, okay, let's talk some Monday Night Football here as we get things rolling to start the show. Colt McCoy last night, my man, look, hey, it may be his only shot here. If RG3's ready to go, they were all talking last night like, hey, can't wait to see what he does next. If RG3's ready to go, most likely he's just going to take his job back. But Colt McCoy last night, first time in how long, getting back on the field. We've talked about it, everything that he went through in college, and then here, and here again some more, and all of that, and then going through to San Francisco and Washington here, third string quarterback, finally gets himself back on the field. And hey, man, the Redskins upset. No, I mean, who had? LG did. I know a couple other people that I've talked to off the air did, but seriously, who had the Redskins winning that one last night? The Redskins took care of business. Colt McCoy looked good. And, that's what I was saying. Talking about John Gruden, he's a terrible, and I don't watch Monday Night Football much. I've told you guys that. Like, for me, Monday Night Football has kind of become Sunday Night Football, but because it's on broadcast TV. Not that I don't have cable, it's just I don't know, and I'm glad I don't watch it much, because how can you sit there? Tirico's bad enough, but Gruden is awful. I mean, I'm sorry. Either he's incredibly declined, or I don't know what people are talking about when they say that this guy. Maybe he used to know something, but man, he's a puppet show up there, man. He's just a clown show with a headset, man. That dude is ridiculous. What a conflict of interest last night. Lord forbid you can't say anything that may impinge on the actual other person named Gruden on the Washington sidelines. Oh, no. Every late play call, that came in with 5 seconds left on the clock, those were all Colt McCoy's fault. Somehow he convinced the viewers. I didn't know the actual stat line of Colt McCoy at one point, but if you'd have listened to Gruden, you'd have thought Colt McCoy was the reason that the Redskins weren't doing even better than they were, and that he was struggling his way through this game. And then literally moments after he says that, a stat pops up on the screen. Colt McCoy currently 20 of 25. And I'm like, wait a minute. And it's so funny because you could see the other announcers trying not to disrespect Gruden, especially in some of the group settings, by calling him out on that. But still, you could see the look on their face when they go 25 of 30, 300 yards. Good game by Colt McCoy. And then he's out there insisting that, Colt McCoy was just barely being dragged through this game. Luckily Gruden was able to lead him through by his nose. I mean, I just thought, man, early in all those late play calls coming in, and they somehow were all Colt McCoy's fault. I just think, what a conflict of interest. Clearly, he should not be allowed to do Washington games, because he obviously has a conflict of interest there. He cannot be objective in what he's talking about, because when the play calls are coming in late, then you may have to impugn upon the coaching staff a bit in your criticism, and we can't have that, because there's a coach on that sideline that has the same last name as I do. So it's got to be Colt McCoy's fault. But anyways, a good game, period. Not just by Colt McCoy. Great game, back and forth. What a story. Romo goes down. Whedon comes in, and boy, did Brown's Twitter go crazy with that one. Whedon versus McCoy on Monday Night Football. And what a story it is. Seriously, like a sub-story of the game, because he took out Colt McCoy from his job. He was drafted to replace him after Brad McCoy, who they showed so many times last night up in the box. And we know the history of him with the Walrus here and calling out them for the way they treated Colt. We know what happened that led to Colt being ran out and Brandon Whedon being ushered in. And anyways, that's a bad, sad part of our history, no matter which way you look at it. But anyways, it's a subplot of that sub-story that we're watching there on Monday Night Football. And hey, Brandon Whedon, give him credit. He came in. Now look, you're also dealing, you're dealing with different skill sets of the rest of the team too. I mean, obviously that's a higher caliber team that he's on over there, which helps him out. But I mean, he did what you want your backup quarterback to do. He came in and put points on the board. He put 10 points on the board on his drives there. And I got to tell you, I know this is going to sound crazy, because you guys know I think Brandon Whedon is just terrible. But I think the mistake that Dallas made was putting Tony Romo back in the game there at the end, because, I know everybody, Garrett and Jerry Jones, they all said, hey, Romo's our guy, and if he says he can play, he wanted to play at the end of the game. But it didn't look good on that last. He almost threw he got sacked on the first one, and that fumble. I don't know how Kerrigan let that slip through. He had it. That was your ball game right there. And then the interception, which was another a lucky break for the Cowboys because the Redskins defender had the interception, had a bead on it. It went in his hands, but then the receiver was smart enough to pull that thing through and ended up being a reception. So he tempted fate twice there. I just thought Wheaton, he wasn't setting the world on fire, but he wasn't doing terrible by any stretch of the imagination either. He was 4-6, 69 yards, didn't throw a pick. He did just fine during the time that he was in there. So I don't know.